everyone, welcome to a new episode of In Other Words with Danielle and Zara.
So this is a podcast where we talk about a wide variety of different subjects, from things to do on a budget to who knows me best. So in other words, we talk about all the things.
All the things. Hello Danielle, do you know that last week, I was tuned for saying all the things and bizarre too often. I felt attacked. Yes.
That is attacked. Yeah, people apparently think it's cringy to say all the things. And to that I say, just don't find it cringy. And then it won't be a problem.
I agree. Yeah. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It is.
I'm glad.
Yes, I have many things to do. And that's what I'm thinking about.
That's what you're trying to do. All the things.
I'm trying to do all the things. But I am well, thank you. And how are you,
glad.
Zara?
I am well. I was a little sad yesterday because I missed my people. But I am well.
That's good. Don't worry. Yes. I am always sad that you're not here. Not just in general.
Good to know.
It's a bit of a sad episode, apparently.
But it's about to get not sad. Okay. Because I've been wanting to do this for ages, because I worked in retail for 2 years, and I've always said there are things that you learn in retail that you can't learn anywhere else. And you realize that the world really is full of all kinds of people. The people that you think only exist in the movies. False. They are real.
Well, this is very exciting.
Yes. And if anybody wants to start a sitcom on retail, you're more than welcome to use some of these stories, but you have to pay me.
Yes.
All right. So I think we'll keep names of businesses out of the episode.
I agree.
I will say the company I worked for, I really do love, so that helps. So yes. And I promise customers, everyone in retail doesn't just sit around judging you. I didn't, but there are certain stories where it's a bit hard not
You
to.
just can't help it.
So
yeah,
I
like,
worked...
I was going to say, you know how I always say that nobody thinks about you as much as you do. Unless you're embarrassing in retail, then I promise you, people are going to be thinking about you. So just don't ever be stupid, basically.
Yes. Go out on your best behavior.
Yes.
All right. So I worked in a bookstore for 2 years. For the second year, I was a supervisor. And I have some fun stories. People think that working in a bookstore is boring. Think again.
I can only imagine that it's so fun.
Oh, it is so fun. What I liked about it is that it actually was still intellectually stimulating. You know, it wasn't just standing at a counter scanning books.
Yeah.
Like you actually had to have some sort of sales abilities, and you had to know what you were talking about. So it was fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Very nice.
Okay, Danielle, I think you know a lot of these, but there might be some that you don't know.
Okay.
So there was this girl that loved our bookstore. She was there all the time. She was in high school, but she was there all the time. And Danielle, you will know, and those who know me closely, you know where I worked. I work for a big company, so this is just one of its branches. And we don't have the prettiest store. If you look at the other branches of this particular company, they have beautiful bookstores. It just looks prettier. There's a coffee shop. So we don't have the nicest looking bookstore of all the branches. But this girl who loved the store so much, she came into the store. She didn't tell us beforehand, but she came into the store and she took her matric dance photos in store.
No, that's cute. Oh,
it is cute, but it's also we don't have particularly big bookshelves.
Yeah.
So it's she was a bit taller than bad lighting and a bit taller than the books. But it was still really, really cute. But I was like, wow, this is commitment, girl. When I leave the store,
for real,
I'm not coming back.
You take your wedding pictures there.
You know what? I actually changed my whole mind. I'm going to do that. I do want to speak about theft, because theft in bookstores is a real thing. On my second week in store, I saw this guy and he looked a bit sketch, but like you don't want to judge people by how they look,
Yeah.
you know.
Don't judge a book by its cover. You should know that.
I should know that. Ugh, I was still learning. I was new on the job, you know. And then I just kind of ignored it or whatever. And then at the end of shift, we realized he'd stolen like this tiny Batman like phone pop, but it was like 200 Rand. And like we had to like search through security footage. And what I learned is that if someone gives you a weird feeling, just follow your gut, because there are all kinds of people.
That is so true. Yeah, that's crazy though, shame.
Yes, and then teen shoplifting doesn't only happen in the movies, and it's kind of like a weird thrill that like teenagers get from like trying to steal a book. And once we had these two girls come into the store and they try to shoplift, but they're usually quite easy to spot. Like if you don't do it like often, you're not very good at stealing.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, did she cry? Sobbed. Like,
wait, so what did they do? Did they actually try to walk out with the book?
Yes, she put it in her bag, but we'd already caught her before, like, you know. And on my word, she cried. We didn't like press charges or anything, but this girl. So warning to you guys.
How old was she?
Must have been about grade 9. Both of them.
Hectic. Shame.
Yes. Then the scariest thing is that there are book stealing syndicates. So
that
like
is
people
still so bizarre to me,
who literally steal books the way people steal drugs. It's like this underground, massive, like black market. Which I was like, for books, who the hell is buying books on a black market?
There must be something else involved as well.
It's usually like the political books or like really well-selling books. It's never like random books, but like it was bizarre. Like you had to learn the like signs, the telltale signs. Like if ever there were two women who came to the bookstore and one had a big handbag, like you had to watch them. And it's like a big deal. Like we'll get notices from head office saying like, this is a book and there's like 100 copies stolen from one store and like be aware. And I'm like, how the flip does that happen? So that's a thing. And then another thing is like, if you work in retail, you actually spend a lot of time at the back of the store watching security cameras, and after shifts rewinding when you realize stock is missing. And it is a whole thing. Like 25% of my job was watching security cameras. So just know you are always being watched, people. Like Big Brother is real.
And it's Zara.
Yes, it is me. Okay, then a fun retail secret, which isn't necessarily a secret, but did you know that all the items on the counter and that are like while you stand in the aisle are in retail referred to as impulse buys, impulse stock.
Okay.
So it's literally things we put there because we know the people are going to be standing in the line and getting bored, and they're like, oh, this looks nice, let me buy this. So don't be fooled by that, guys. That is our intention. We are trying to lure you
Capitalism.
in. Yes. Then I actually don't know if this is the case I doubt it's like the case in clothing stores, but I always say like stores are mapped out like with a lot of thought, and I don't think people realize that a lot of thought goes into it. But the like books that were like commonly stolen, like we kept close to the counter, like so that we could see them all the time. And the most so like often it was like your Robin Sharma books, and like The Secret was like an often stolen book, and like The Long Walk to Freedom and stuff. But we had to keep Mein Kampf behind the counter just because apparently it was offensive. And the most stolen book. It is, granted.
It's kind of offensive.
The most commonly stolen book is the Bible, like everywhere. So
wow.
I still think that's bizarre. Lol. Then a story by my friend, who you will later hear her voice in the podcast. She once had an old man come up to her just randomly, and he looked at her and he was like, "You have such nice hands." And she said it wasn't even creepy. It was like he was so earnest. So
that's so sweet. That's very strange.
If you need validation in this world, work in retail. Okay. Then this is a real thing. So, you know, when the VAT increased from 14% to 15%,
Yeah.
we had to relabel every single book in the store. So every single book, and there are thousands of books, we had to take the labels off, and our manager was like hectic. So there's a specific way you tear a label off the book. So if you could even see like a little bit of your nail. So you never like have long nails when you work in a bookstore. If you could see a bit of your nail, like it was a problem. Like, you know, like the book has to be in impeccable condition. So like it took us like days to replace all the labels, and we had a sign at the front of the store and on the counter saying some of the books' prices may change by 1%. So just to be aware, the price may be a 1% lower, but we're working on relabeling it. We had a fight with a woman for 15 minutes because she refused to pay the extra 1%. So like on a 400 Rand book, that's 4 Rand.
Yeah.
Like on a 100 Rand book,
No, that's
insane.
Rand.
And like,
especially because you already disclosed it.
Exactly. And it was like, eventually it was not worth a fight, and we had to just sell it. And it's quite a mission to like, because on the system you can easily change prices and just up them all by 1%. But now it was like going through this process of changing the price on the system for freaking 1%. And I was like, lady, so please never increase tax in general, but particularly for those in
nobody
retail.
likes it.
No. Then during COVID, I had left the store because I was already working for the church. But a friend of mine, who you will also hear her voice later on in the podcast, had this person come raging to her that the books in the store were not contemporary enough. In other words,
sorry,
literally said, and this is a quote, secondhand quote, because I wasn't there, said, I don't want to read about 9/11 and Trump. I want to read about COVID. During COVID. As in,
who was writing the books?
Why is there not a book being published about the current pandemic? And we were like, the newspapers are there.
Yeah.
But like,
no, that's crazy.
Literally raging about where's the contemporary literature specifically on COVID-19 in a random like public bookstore, like not a research lab or. So yeah.
That's very silly. Very, very silly.
And people get angry. I'm just like, why? Then the most annoying customers ever. I dreaded school holidays. Dreaded them.
Shame.
Not because of children.
Yeah, to the parents.
Teenagers. No.
Oh, teenagers.
I'm talking about, and like, if you are a teenager and you're listening, you know I love teenagers, okay? But that freaking grade 8, grade 9 age, I swear, without fail, every single school holiday, why do you hang out at the shop?
They all hang out at the shop.
And obviously a bookstore is like the perfect place to do that. Dude, they would come in and sit in the kids section where the little tables and play music.
That's annoying. And a bit
like
rude.
On their little phone speaker. Like.
I know, I can't understand it. I can't understand it.
And then I remember there was this other couple that's like, they didn't even go to the back of the store. You could see they were young. And they were in the magazine section. Like, and she was sitting on his lap on this tiny little like ottoman, like sitting on his lap, and he was like kissing her neck. And I was like, and you could see they were young. And I was like,
there's a time and a place, and it's not.
And like,
it's neither of that.
Like, we have cameras. Like, I can put this on social media. I'll send this to your mom on Facebook.
You should have told him that.
I should have. I wasn't brave enough then. You should do it now. Yeah. But it was just like bizarre, and like I actually think like I feel like that must be a thing. Like I feel like if kids are making out or close to making out in bookstores, surely they're doing it in like clothing stores and stuff.
Oh yeah, surely. No.
Please don't do that. Okay, then there was a guy who worked in the center that I worked in. He worked in 2 different stores at different times. He came in all the time and would talk for like an hour. And he would ask for random books almost every time. He'd come in with like a book on his phone, and then he'd never buy anything. I don't think he's ever bought anything from the store. And like whenever he came in, I think he was just lonely, but it's like, it's just like,
at least buy one thing. Yeah.
Just like a bookmark.
Yeah.
And literally like this random train, and like we'd all have to like discuss like, okay, fine, who's gonna help him, because we were all like, oh. So yeah, it's like, what do? You like, you don't want to be mean, like this person obviously needs someone to talk to, and I was like, maybe I should invite him to church or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it like got to the point where it's like, we actually have work to do, like you know, it's like, you can't tell him like to leave.
Yeah.
Like that's
No,
rude.
that's a bit rude.
So
Shame.
that was a thing. Then in retail, it's a real thing that there are people on the chase.
On the what?
On the chase. To like find a lady. I've never seen it the other way around.
Yeah.
And there was a guy who would leave notes and chocolates for one of the people on staff. Like,
hectic.
yes.
It's
And
a bit awkward.
yeah. I only had like 2 very blatant encounters. The one was a guy who, like, I could see he was like, him and his friend were kind of just like checking me out or whatever. And then they were in the Christian section. And they were asking about Christian books. And we got into this whole discussion on like, about Jesus. And then this guy was like, listen, can I have your number? And it's like, what do you do? Like, first of all, but second of all, like, it's a professional environment. So like, you know.
It's a bit of an awkward situation.
Yes, and usually I would say no, but this guy was just so nice. I wasn't interested, but like, he was just so nice, and he loved Jesus, and he worked for a church. And so I was like, you can follow me on Instagram. And we are solidly like acquaintances today. Like, he listens to this podcast, and like, we have mutual friends. It's like, it's very funny. Hilarious. So like, sometimes it's not so bad, but other times, oof. Then I had a guy, I call him the V-man. So he comes in the store, typical Afrikaner. We love it. And when I say, it's like, he was a farmer, like, you know. Okay. So he came in with his shirt and his shorts and his tackies, and he was like, cute. You know, like heavy Afrikaans accent, speaking English. And he's like, he comes up to the counter and he's like, I don't like reading. And I was like, cool.
Why are you here then?
Good place to be. Then he says, but I need to start reading. And I'm like, okay, fair. Like, you do. And I always say, like, people say they hate reading, but I'm like, you just haven't found the right book.
Agreed.
So I'm like, what do you feel like reading? He's like, well, I don't necessarily want to read like non-fiction. And I was like, good word, sir. You know the lingo. He's like, but I don't really like stories. And I was like, oof.
So nothing then.
This is going to be a challenge. We literally walked so much of the store, and I was explaining everything to him. And like, he was about to buy like this Afrikaans novel. And then he says to me, I like bees.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And he's like, I do beekeeping. Do you have anything on beekeeping? So I was like, yeah, we do. And I sent him there and showed him this book. And he was looking at it for a while, telling me about his beekeeping. And I was like, and then he ended up buying the Afrikaans novel. And then he leaves the store, and about 10 minutes later, the phone rings, and my colleague picks up, and she's like, did someone like sell a book, like such and such a book to a customer? And I was like, yeah, that was me. And he's like, hi, like, you helped me in the store. And I was like, yes, is everything okay? He's like, do you mind if I get your number?
How old was he though? How old was he?
He must have been in his 20s.
Okay.
But
that's
yeah,
so funny.
I said no.
Friendly, Zara.
Listen, yeah, that's my job. But yes, I'm really sorry to the beekeeper, and I hope that she found someone lovely.
Yes.
And for those listening, I'm sorry that you're hearing my voice so much. You'll hear Danielle's voice more later. Okay?
Yes.
Then
the good stuff is coming.
Yeah. Then sometimes we have like we do special orders for people, like for books that we can't get. And if we can't get them locally, we have an international supplier. It takes much longer and it's more expensive, but, you know, we'll do it for customers if they're serious. And someone wanted to order the Satanic Bible and we couldn't get it. And the thing about these books that we import from overseas is we can't send them back, you know. And we phoned this person every week for a solid 9 months, and we'd phone and I'd be like, is this such and such a person? They'd be like, yes. And I'm like, your book, the Satanic Bible, because you have to say the book, like, is here. And they would put down every time without fail.
Bizarre. I'm feeling convicted. That's what I think.
This person never came to pick up their Satanic Bible. Someone's actually asked
still there to this day.
if someone's bought it or like what. So.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes, that was funny. Then there was a guy who came in, and our people get real personal to like their book sellers. It's just a thing. But he told me he was going through a divorce because he was having issues in his sex life. This middle-aged man.
Okay.
Like he
exposing himself like that.
He would not let me leave like this conversation. Dude, I was so uncomfortable. Like when I like got away, I told the people at the back, like, this is going down. And then he caught me again and continued talking about like how like his wife was so terrible. And then eventually like someone from the back came and was like, literally said, sorry, but I don't think this is an appropriate conversation. But I was like, what the heck?
It's very awkward. Yeah.
I'm like, and I like hearing people's stories, but
not all of them.
No. Then there was this old man, and he was not very nice. He was like your typical grumpy old man, and he came in from time to time. And the one time he came in there, and it was like a busy season, and he was raging. He's like,
oh no,
I left my glasses here. And he was telling us these glasses were like 4,000 Rand. Like his specs, he literally was like convinced that someone stole it. But not like a customer, like one of us stole his glasses.
Okay.
And he literally was like, you need to help me look for my glasses and this is unacceptable. And I was like,
I don't even know what to do.
Bro, like I can't find your glasses. I have like 50 customers wanting to actually buy books. And like sometimes you want to be sensitive, but he was so rude and I don't think he ever found his glasses.
Good.
So I don't know if you can even see today. I'm just joking. Yes, we're moving on to the rude customers now. Okay, then there was this
lady. This is my favorite.
And now I want to recommend you guys listen to our episode on racism that we did this season. You guys know how like anti-racist I am. I'm not okay with it.
As you should be.
Yes. And this lady came in and she was quite like demanding and like, you know, but it's just fine. I wasn't like irritated with her. Like customers are customers and you just, you know, you deal and you help them as best you can. Yeah. And so people were standing in the line to pay and she was clearly second in the line. I still went back to watch the footage to make sure I wasn't like dreaming this. And I called the next customer and she walked up and I was like, no, sorry, this lady. And this lady was so nice. So I helped the lady. Then she came to me second. Oh my gosh, did she rage at me? She was like, I am going to like report this. You are so racist.
Racist?
The woman I helped beforehand was white. And she gave me this whole talk about how racism is not okay and I am so racist. And I was like,
what the frick?
It was the one time where I was genuinely like, I didn't know what to say because I dealt with customers all the time. But I didn't know what to say. And I literally afterwards went to the back and I like wanted to cry because this woman had literally like, she was so rude saying that I was racist because I helped the white lady who was clearly before her in the queue.
No, man. That's ridiculous.
I was very sad.
Yeah.
Then there was a guy, and now it's like maybe I should give him the benefit of the doubt, but also it was just rough. So he came in very friendly and he's like, I'm looking for a book on asparagus. And I was like, do you mean? And I was like, excuse me? And he's like, I'm looking for a book on asparagus. And I was like, so do you mean like the herb,
vegetable?
Like, yeah, like, do you want me to show you to gardening? And then I did, and he was looking, and then he came up, he's like, this is not what I'm looking for. And I'm like, okay, I can find out if there are books specifically about asparagus at like another branch or somewhere. Like, can you think of a book? And he's like, no, I want a book on asparagus. He kept on saying that. And then I was like, and he started off so kind, and then he just started getting weirdly angry. And I could not help him. Like, I was trying so hard. And then eventually his friend came in, and he's like, hey, what's up? And they're like, he's like, they have no books on asparagus. And he's like, do you mean Asperger's?
Oh, no.
Dude,
No.
I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, no, but this is unacceptable. And I was like, yeah, sir, but like I didn't realize beforehand. And he was like, you know what?
Asparagus is a thing.
Yes. And he's like, you know what? F you. Like, he said the word to me. He's like, F you. And he walked out the store. And his friend was kind of just like, I'm sorry. Bye.
Do you think he had Asperger's?
But that's the only thing that, like,
yeah,
you know, so that's why I say, like, maybe I should give him the benefit of the doubt, but he was so mean, and he came in so
it's a bit awkward.
And I was like, you know, so that was
yikes.
rough. Then I had a guy who was, first of all, irritated that we only sold paper bags at the time. Which you get that from time to time. It is what it is.
As opposed to plastic bags.
Yes. Because
Crazy.
it's more expensive. And I told him, like, the bag was like R1.50 or something. And he's like, are you actually going to charge me for this paper bag? And I was like, yes, sir, unfortunately, like, it's policy or whatever. He got angry with me. He's like, I'm not paying for this bag. And then there's a part of me that's like, I'm just going to give him the bag. Then. So I was like, you know what, sir, it's okay. Like, I was just going to put the R1.50 in. Like, sometimes you just got to, like, you know, appease the customer. I was like, no, it's okay. Like, don't worry. We won't have you pay for the bag. And he's like, so now you're changing the rules. And I was like, no, sir, it's just, I understand that you're a customer and, like, you know, it's okay. And he was like, it's very unethical for you to charge for things like this. And then he shoved the books down, like, literally shoved them. And he's like, this is why I prefer going to... And then he named our competitor's store.
Weird.
And walked out. Because he had to pay for the bag.
Strange. No, man, that's ridiculous. But also, you don't need to take a bag. Just carry it in your hands if it's such a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. That's what I do. If I don't want to get a bag, I just carry it in my hands.
I often do as well. Like, it was so funny. I walked out of Spa the other day, and I was literally just carrying, like, a bag full of, like, lettuce and stuff. Like, for my salad. And I was like, I probably look so strange carrying this bag of lettuce. And I was like, I'm not going to buy a bag for my bag.
No, it's silly.
Anyways, so, yeah, that was mean. But now I'll get into the raunchier side of
this is what I love.
So, what's so funny is we have a section in the store called romance, and it's right next to fiction. So you have your fiction and then you have your romance. But when I think of romance, I think like Nicholas Sparks, The Notebook.
No. It's erotic stuff here.
The romance is the erotica section. It's one of the best-selling sections, by the way. So this is where you find your 50 Shades and your Bridgerton kind of vibe. And
but Bridgerton's not in that section, is it? I've looked.
No.
Is it? I thought it was in the fiction section.
Well, maybe it is now because of the fact that it's a TV show. But most of the stuff by that author, if I remember correctly, was
over there.
Yes. Anyway, so people often came, and like the worst thing is like when like younger readers would come and they would come. Why do I do that all the time?
You picked up on that first.
Because of the last time. Would enter the store and like be in that section, and like you could clearly see they were looking for like your Jojo Moyes, like soppy,
shame.
And it was just
cute stuff.
I always was like, just call it freaking erotica, and like so people know,
because it is confusing.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it was one of our best-selling, like, sections. And most of the readers, you think they'd be like housewifey moms. That's what when I
Yeah.
think that's what I think. Middle-aged
Yeah.
men, hey?
Really?
Yes.
That's quite surprising to me. Yeah, I would never expect that.
There was this guy. He came in about once a month, maybe more. And like we just knew him. And he would buy like a pile of like 10 romance novels or erotic novels
Yeah.
every month. And like we knew what his card looked like. His card was like all battered and stuff. And like he wouldn't say anything. He'd just come in, he'd grab his books and he'd put them down. And I was always like,
Hello, sir.
It was always like, I don't know, like he always made me feel uncomfortable. And I know that's like maybe not like valid, but like something about like, so yeah. Anyways, so there was that. Then we'd have people come in and like no shame be like, I'm looking for like BDSM books. Like, what can you recommend?
Okay.
And I'm more like well versed on like the Christian side, so let me like call a colleague. But it was like people came in like with no shame here, like
Yeah.
you know, and it's kind of like
I mean,
okay, cool, you know,
good for them. No, they know what they want.
clearly. But shame, there was this girl who came in and you could see she was young. She must have been like in her early 20s, and she was like, I assume she was Muslim, but she had like her she was
Hijab.
completely like she
Oh,
was completely
okay.
covered, and she was coming to buy the Kama Sutra. Dude, like,
Oh, that's funny.
the terror in her eyes. And as she was buying it, I was just trying to like, I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but like I always say like you don't judge customers, like you're there to help them, you know.
Yeah.
I've never seen like such terror in someone's eyes, and I just wanted to like comfort her. Like I was trying to like make friendly conversation, and she was just like terrified. She just didn't know. She didn't know what to do. And it's so funny because I've never seen like the middle ground. It's either people who are like so ashamed or people who are like so open. Like, I just want as much erotica as I can get. And it was always just the funniest thing to me.
Yeah. I would just order online if I were embarrassed. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Anyways, so that was the situation. Yes. And then the last thing is I once had a panic attack on shift, and I had to call the ambulance because we didn't know it was a panic attack because I'd just come off and been put on these random meds that my body had a bad reaction to. So
what were you feeling that they called an ambulance?
My back was so sore and I could not stop throwing up bile. And I realized like it was obviously my body reacting to the medication, and because of that I was just like very, very nervous. But like for a second I thought I was having a heart attack. So that was a thing.
Shame.
Anyways, yes. Then another thing was I would often, you see, when it comes to Christian authors, there are many who preach dodgy theology. They usually have their face as big as possible on the book.
Of course.
I would hide those books as much as possible. And when someone was wanting to buy it, I would steer them away. So now my managers know.
What about this one?
We probably lost a lot of sales because I would, if they were like facing forward, I would like turn them around and like hide them as much as possible. Yeah. I do the same when I go into other bookstores and I see these Christian authors. I'm like,
turning around.
And that's a thing, hey? Like, people also used to come in and, like, hide a book so that they could come back and buy it. It's like, it's a real
hilarious
thing. They don't realize, though, we tidy up, like...
Yeah, often.
At the end of every shift, and we merchandise often, so we can always pick up when books have been moved. And then the last thing is, did you know that when you have a friend who not often, but whenever they are in the vicinity, if they come and bring you coffee, chances are you're going to end up dating them like 3 years later. So be aware of that.
That is so true, bestie.
And that is the end of my retail journey.
Excellent. Well, lots of stories.
It was the best.
Yeah. I don't know if I can say that I would have wanted to experience everything, but I'm so glad I get to live through you.
Ooh, I forgot one. Sorry. Oh. This is important.
That's okay.
So our store was like at the edge of like the mall. So in other words, like we were right by the entrance. So like we had a window open to the parking lot, but there was a door that was just generally this, like people, they would get breaks, like employees and stuff, like the whole mall, and they would come and smoke outside that area.
Yeah.
But the one day, like someone was obviously smoking weed, but like heavy, and it comes through the door into the kids section. Like the kids section is right at that door.
Yeah.
So the one day I'm walking in the store and I'm like, something doesn't smell right. And I was like horrified. I was like, parents are going to be coming in here with their little kids.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to smell
Wanting to buy a nice
weed.
little book. Oh no.
Dude, I literally went in that. I was aerospraying. I was like cleaning things with Handy Andy just to like mask the smell. Oh, it was very
funny. Very funny.
Yes. So now I'm done.
All right. Yes. So now we got some people to send in voice notes of their stories. So we're going to listen to those now. Zara, just make sure that you have it on normal speed when you play it.
Yes. Aren't you so clever?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just thought of that now. Big brain.
Big brain. Said that at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to play it. These people worked with me, so you'll kind of pick that up. All right, are you
I think
ready
I think they do say
first?
the name of the store, or one of them does.
Yes, but the one thing we will say is that we love the store, and we loved 95% of
I
our
regularly
customers.
go inside that store. I don't always buy stuff because it is expensive, but
Books are expensive.
regularly go inside.
Yes. Okay, here's the first one.
I'm so sorry. I'm finally doing it. Okay, here we go. Hi, in other words, podcast. I'm honoured to be on the show, even though I was basically forced to, but nevertheless I'm still on it. It's the most amazing podcast. Everyone on earth should listen to it. And I'm not just saying this because I was promised money. Cough, cough. Sorry, I need to EFT me soon. Just saying. Okay. My name's Krissi. I'm not sure if I was supposed to say anything else besides from that, but I worked at EB. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that either, but I'm going to say it anyway. Bookstore. Everyone else in the story will remain nameless for confidentiality reasons, clearly. But yeah, retail stories, the only one I can really think of that's quite, stands out in my memory because I would love to forget it, but I can't. It was like relatively busy at the store, and there was a customer that came, and he walked in like a bit like shy, and like he was a bit nervous. I was like, relax, it's just a bookstore, and then he asked me for like a title of the book, and it was called She Comes First. And I was like, oh, like cute, romantic, so sweet. So I'm like typing out the book, but he says in like a very hushed tone, like, she comes first. I'm like, dude, like it's fine, like I don't know why you're being secretive about it. It's a bookstore, and then I type it in, and immediately I can tell that it's like a, how shall we say this, sexually promiscuous book. Is that even the right word? But basically it's a book on how that instructs a male on how to make his female happy. I'm speaking like they're like animals, but which honestly pops to him. I was like, doing a research, like good for you. Like I should be doing this, it's awesome. But it was really embarrassing. And then I was like, oh, we don't have it in stock. And then he was like, okay, thanks. And he literally like ran out the store. But it was really funny. Looking back, it's funny, but also like respect to him, And then the only other one I can think of, so I hope it's quiet, I'm like walking outside right now, is when, it's like kind of a recurring thing. We always had this old lady, Zara will know this, that always used to cut her nails on the store. I've told about this, I didn't actually see this, but I know that she used to. But we called her Candy Floss because she never bought anything. She only came in, took a magazine, mostly You magazine. If she was feeling frisky, she'd read Do Huisgenoot, but I think it's the same magazine in Afrikaans. Anyway, and she'd sit and she'd read, and then she'd put the magazine and come back. The first day she spoke to me, I almost like died. Like I was like, whoa. She like asked me what the time was, and I was like, I am so honored. I hope you never forget this interaction ever. Anyway, I hope this was good. Thanks for having me on. It's like most exciting moments of my entire life. I want to tell everyone I know. Oh yes, and I am an occupational therapist at Free Hospital. Please follow our Instagram page. We post the best stuff. It's very informative about OTs and what we do. It's called, I don't even know what it's called, OT_Free Hospital. I could be wrong though. Zara will put it somewhere. Make sure it's right. But yeah, thanks guys. Love you.
Oh, I love that
hilarious.
girl. And that's basically how every conversation with her goes ever. She's the best. We will link her OT page somewhere. Dead.
No, that is hilarious. Wait, was she saying the lady who came in to read the magazine cut her nails? What?
Yes.
No,
She did cut her nails in the store.
Shocking. That is hilarious.
The best, she never ever bought a single thing. Ever. And she read, she'd sit and read the whole magazine. But,
Queen,
it was kind
honestly.
of like, she was this old lady that it was, not even worth saying anything. And she had this friend. They were besties. Because when he walked in, she, all of a sudden she was a different person. She smiled. It was like, what? And he used to buy, every newspaper ever. So it was kind of it balanced out. And, I would often see them, sitting in Seattle together. And he dressed like a cowboy. And maybe they were a couple. They were very cute, yeah.
Maybe. It's very exciting.
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious. The next one.
Should we listen to the next audio?
Cool. Yes.
Hi, In Other Words podcast. I'm so excited to be featured on one of your episodes of one of my favorite podcasts of all time. My name's Ali, and this is my retail story. So I was working, I'm pretty sure it was a Saturday afternoon, and most Saturdays we have a pretty busy shift, a lot of customers coming in and out, but this particular day it was fairly quiet. A lot of the times when it is a bit more quiet and everyone's got work to do, I would usually stand at the counter and wait for a customer to come to pay for something. On this particular Saturday, in the midst of all the quiet and the mundane, there was this incredibly loud screech that came from the back of the store and then a thud that followed. Next second we know, a mom is running at full speed from the back of the store and right out the entrance while holding her child. And I think he was maybe between the ages of 5 and 7, if I'm guessing correctly. Now, obviously, this is a pretty strange situation in itself, and we wanted to find out what might have happened to cause this kind of situation. And so I left the counter and rounded a couple of shelves, and before I even made it to the halfway point of the store, we all came to the conclusion that there was a long trail of liquid coming from where the mom had just run from all the way out the store. Unfortunately, what we did then find out was that this liquid was in fact pee. And shame. No. We all know that the mom tried her best to kind of salvage the situation by getting her son as quickly out of the store, but I think she actually may have just made the situation worse. So from a very quiet Saturday to one of the craziest things that have ever happened to me, that's one of the retail stories that I'll never forget from all my years of working. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the podcast. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Love
she
her.
Sounds so professional.
I know, and then you get Krissi, and she's the hot mess, and I love you, Krissi, so much. And Ali. I love them both.
That's really something else. I suppose when you have children in your store, you do kind of run a risk. Yeah.
It's also so bad because the kids section's right at the back of the store, so it's like a long journey.
Oh, shame.
What scared me was the age 5 to 7. That stresses me out.
Maybe he got really, really scared. I don't know.
What, he saw the Gruffalo book and he was like, oh no.
No, do you know what? He needs to do his pelvic floor exercises. That's what I'll tell him.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we had a long conversation about that the other day, so that's why I'm bringing it up to all the listeners.
We talk about all the things
we
all
really
the time.
do.
It's bizarre.
Bizarre. Anyway, okay, so now I'm going to read some of the submissions that we got on SurveyMonkey. Once again, follow us on Instagram at @inotherwords_podcast. And that's where you can see all the things, really.
All the things.
Okay. So I know we said we weren't going to read some names, but I mean, these people mention the names of the store, so should I just not say it? Although, there's nothing bad about the actual store.
Yeah, okay, fair. You do you, boo.
Okay, so the first one. While working at the body shop, a customer came in looking for a foot cream and scrub. I offered them the tester to smell and see if they liked it. Instead, they dunked their whole hand into the jar and proceeded to slather on the foot cream on their bare feet while in store and blocked the path of other customers. It was during the festive season, so the store was full. To make things worse, they didn't even buy the product. Sorry.
Dead.
What the heck?
I feel like it
Firstly-
shouldn't be allowed. Okay, wait, go.
No. I just want to say that I love the Body Shop. I love going in. The employees who work there are just so friendly. There's this one girl who works at the Body Shop where I go, and every time I walk in, she compliments something about my outfit, and I just love that. Like, thank you so much
Amazing.
for validating me. Yeah.
Yeah, she probably says that to everyone. Don't feel so special.
Probably, but
Kidding, I love your
think it's just
style.
me. I think it's just me. But that is shocking, genuinely.
The thing that I have a problem with is, I don't know, I have this thing where it's like, unless you are trying on shoes in like a shoe store, don't take your shoes off unless you are
No,
like under the
please.
age of 10.
Literally. Yeah. Well, there are certain members of my family that go into the shop without shoes on.
Is it particularly from, are you talking about your extended family?
No.
Oh, can I call out the
No.
Saudi boys for never wearing shoes ever?
Really shocking.
Even in
Naughty
winter. I'm
Saudis.
like, aren't you cold?
No, they're manly. But yeah, that is shocking. I'm so sorry you had to see that to this person. Okay.
Also, like, why do you put cream on your dirty feet? Although, okay, maybe their feet weren't dirty. That's hilarious. I love it.
I don't
That's
know, I'm
awful.
just assuming that anyone who does that has dirty feet. Like, that sounds like a very dirty feet thing to do.
Oh, dead.
Okay. Next one. Okay, so this is a few stories in one. So number 1. While working at Bargain Books, I witnessed a 10-year-old girl throw a tantrum because her parents didn't want to buy her a toy from the previous shop they visited. The tantrum is normal, but the strangest thing was that her parents left her to cry and shriek while they browsed through the books for 20 minutes, and they did not want people to help. That is so awkward. And a 10-year-old girl. Yikes. Okay. Number 2.
So, can I
Oh,
first
do you want me to
comment
go?
on that?
Yeah,
I
go.
will say there are people who get very irritated when kids throw tantrums in stores, and I think you can easily be like, "Oh, parents, what the heck is wrong with your child?" Like, you know, I promise you, until you are a parent, and I'm not a parent, but I can tell you this: kids throw tantrums. Like,
They do.
you know,
But
But-
a 10-year-old,
a 10-year-old, and if you just let them carry on,
yeah.
no.
Like, there's a certain way to
Unacceptable.
deal. Like, I don't know, make them take a time out outside or something. I don't know. Don't just let them flail about. Okay.
Flail about.
Okay. Number 2. I received the worst description of a book a customer was looking for. The manga is pink with cherry blossoms on the cover. The name of the manga is the name of the 2 main characters, but I don't remember their names. So that was the description. I honestly don't know what they were expecting me to do because there are hundreds of manga that fit that description and they couldn't identify it from the photos we shared with them. It's a bit awkward. Do you know what manga is?
Yes, of course. I worked in a
Yes.
bookstore.
Okay. Your face looked a bit confused for a second.
No.
I
What
was like,
I
surely
think,
you know.
What I think is, listen, that is at least kind of helpful. I've had a customer come in and say, I'm looking for a book. It's like got a red cover. And I was like, cool. And this happened often, but this
Narrows it
specific time
down.
it was a red cover. Cool. I was like, okay, do you know if it was like English or another language? No, definitely English. I was like, okay, cool. Do you know if it was like fiction or non-fiction? I don't actually know.
How do you not know that?
Anyways, yeah.
okay.
And then we had someone saying, I'm looking for a book. It's like some Afrikaans novel, but it was in Die Burger about a year and a half ago.
That is so helpful.
And we actually helped them
Like,
find the book because we put up the
nice.
book recommends. Like, we take all the newspapers every week
Yeah.
and put up on our board at the back, like the recommends from
Smart.
the newspapers.
Yeah.
But the only thing that helped us is that the Afrikaans section is a lot smaller than the English section.
Yes. Oh my word.
So
Imagine
his
if it was the
description
English
didn't
book.
help. We just kind of played
Yeah.
like, here we go, this one. Is it this one?
Yeah.
Is it this one? And then eventually he found it. But yeah, people do that a lot. Like,
How frustrating.
anyways.
I would feel really stressed out about that. Okay.
yeah.
Now, this was the third part of their story. So it says, there was another time where a customer who wanted to buy a 1960-something NIV Bible, no matter how many times we tried to inform him that it does not exist, the more adamant he became. We even checked the year, and if he meant KJV,
KJV, King James.
but then he became very angry and insisted it was NIV 1960. He then informed us that Kum Books told him that they were out of stock and he should come try Bargain Books. That is very awkward.
Shame. Yeah, I think the NIV only came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
Maybe he
well,
really
maybe it-
needed a Bible to change his attitude.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the next story. I was the customer in the story. I was buying a bra at a well-known retailer. The person at the till, who happened to be a guy, informed me that I wouldn't be able to return it if it didn't fit, as it was underwear. I asked with disbelief if men were allowed to return t-shirts then, as it touched exactly the same body parts. One just has a bit more fatty tissue behind them. The person had never thought of it like that, but after talking to the manager, they eventually saw my point. I know the person who sent in the story.
I think I know the person just by reading it. Was it someone related to you?
Yes.
Because I know she would stand up. I never thought
Yeah.
of this either. Like,
Yeah,
genuinely
but
didn't
that's kind of
ever think of it.
ridiculous.
Like, no, but like for me, like I would be like, oh, okay, makes sense, because it's always been that way. But when I thought about it,
Yeah.
I was like,
Like, there's nothing that comes
makes
out
so
of there
much
unless you're
sense.
breastfeeding, maybe.
yeah.
You know?
So like, I understand like bottom wear, and I think it's the same for
Yeah,
guys and girls
definitely.
anyway. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
But I was like, wow, my mind has been
Yeah.
opened.
Exactly. Stand up for
Yes.
yourselves, ladies. Okay. This next one is very, very short. And it says, the staff hit on me even after they found out I'm still in school. That is rude. They should not do that.
No.
That's, yeah.
Funnily, and like, yeah, the idea that you could actually work with someone who, like, if you have to deal with that, like, I'm just like, it's not worth it. I will say, at my place of work, the romance was, I promise you, our manager was married to a manager from another branch. One of our people was marrying like someone who they met from another branch, and then
that's so funny.
they were couples for days. I was
Yeah.
like, we are signing up for matchmaker.com when we work there. I didn't meet anyone though.
That's what it seems like. Well, no. Anyway. Okay, the next one.
Is
While
this
I
the
was
restaurant
working as...
one?
Yeah.
This is bizarre.
Yeah. While I was working as a waiter, I once noticed that a customer had the salt and pepper grinders in her bag as they were paying their bill. Not sure if she was drunk or a bit of a klepto or both, but we eventually confronted her when she tried to leave and still had them in her bag. She denied it entirely and refused to show us her bag was empty. She then went to the bathroom where she threw the grinders into the bin and proceeded to leave the restaurant as if nothing happened. It was really bizarre.
Bizarre. That is bizarre.
Oh, that's so funny. Bizarre. That's only one word to describe it. Bizarre.
By law, are you allowed to like search a customer? Because I feel like you can, but then I'm like, but can you?
I don't know. I feel like only police can do it, can't they? If they have a warrant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like at the same time, like that's so funny.
That is very funny. And
And
why a
then
salt and
like
pepper grinder?
I won't show you. I will not show you my bag. Ooh, actually, I need the bathroom. Can I
need the
quickly go to the
bathroom.
You're stressing me out. My bladder is weak now.
That reminds me of that one episode of Friends where Chandler and Ross, I think, were at a hotel or something. And
They
Ross
steal all the...
Yeah, but he's showing you how to steal. So you don't take the salt and pepper grinders. You take the salt out of the salt grinder and the pepper out of the pepper grinder, and you take the salt and the pepper. But you don't take the grinders. No. So this lady should have learned.
At least at a hotel, when you have like shampoo and stuff, like it's there for you to take.
It is. Oh, but that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is the last one, and this one kills me. Okay.
Also, the
I have
attitude
too
in
many
which it's written. I love it.
Literally. Okay, I have too many stories more than one person should have. The most recent was in the space of a week. 2 customers urinated in my stall, one in our fitting room and the other in front of the till point. And the one was done on purpose to distract us while her friend stole items from the store, and the other didn't even stop and acknowledge what he did and continued to shop. Phenomenal week.
What the
Smiley face.
hell? I don't
How
even
does
know how to respond to that.
Something
This person
about
works
people-
in Cape Town, like the
It
town
explains
Cape Town.
everything.
It's the only place something like that would happen.
It explains everything. It's like New York light, basically.
I was literally
or-
thinking the exact same thing.
Oh, that's hilarious. Something about people urinating on purpose just makes me feel so icky. Like, listen, if you can't control your bladder, like, that sucks. It's horrible. But the fact that you would just do that,
I just can't.
it's so gross.
The only time I would show an ounce of grace is if you were like pregnant, 9 months pregnant.
Or maybe like a
Otherwise-
really old person.
Yes, but like
You know?
still then you don't like just let it flow for days.
And like you apologize and like, I don't know, you're a decent person about it. Oh no. Anyway, I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that. I'm so sorry.
Oh, but I promise you, working in customer service, you should tell your story you told me the other day, because it's not in customer service, but it's still funny.
No, so I was at work and
Tell the people what you do just to sound fancy.
I'm an intern. That's what I do.
Lame. She's a
Yeah.
fancy
I'm not-
intern.
I'm not naming the name of my company that I work for because I don't want strange people to know it. Sorry. If you follow me on LinkedIn, then you can you can see. Follow me on LinkedIn. Just kidding. LinkedIn stresses me out. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm an intern. I do so many things. But I had gone out.
a researcher.
Yes. So I also work in Cape Town, like very close to Long Street, basically. And I'd gone out to get some juice or something from Whole Foods? No, Food Lovers.
Food Lovers.
Which is
I
down
love
the
how
road.
you mentioned that. That's important to the story.
Yes, from Food Lovers down the road. Then I came back, and now the building, you can't really get into like office access unless you have like a little key card or if the security people let you in. But like random people can just come into the foyer. And I was walking back, and this lady approaches me, and I can tell she's like aggressive. She's aggressive. And she said, "What's your name?" So I said, "My name's Danielle." And she said, "What's your surname?" And I was not going to tell this lady what my surname is. So I just said, "Oh, well, my name's Danielle." And she looks at me and she says, "So you're the one who was so rude to me on the phone?" And I was like, I haven't spoken to anyone on the phone. It was very scary. And she looked like she was about to beat me up. But then luckily the security guard saw what was happening and was like, "Oh, ma'am, can I help you?" And she was like, "Oh, sorry." And then she went to talk to the security guard. It was so
Bizarre.
weird. I was actually just standing there like, what the frick? And then I went as quickly as I could to get into my office because
I'm so sorry
Very
that
scary.
was inflicted upon you.
that's okay. It makes a good story.
Indeed. I will say
Yeah.
retail can be scary. We had a gunman, not in our store, but like 2 stores
Yeah,
down.
I remember that.
And then they ran past and I saw
Terrifying.
them and like I was supervisor on shift, so like I had to go and like, close the doors. And like there were customers that were terrified. And I was like, I don't know how to like comfort like people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Yes,
was
you do.
scary, but oh, they're there.
They're there.
I can't like hug
Exactly.
a customer.
They're there.
So it can be a scary world for reasons
can.
apart from gunmen.
Yes. Also, just because people are so weird. That's why it's
You
scary.
are strange. We love it.
Yeah.
So that's
Alright.
the end of
Indeed.
customer service.
Yes. I had fun.
ReTALES.
ReTALES. Exactly.
Cool.
ReTALES of retail. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Very funny.
Okay, I'll end
Cool.
off by saying that I've recently
Yes.
learned that the more that you like a podcast, so like on YouTube and like rate on like Apple Podcasts.
You can
and
rate on Spotify now as well.
Yes, I saw. I rated our podcast 5 stars because I'm so extra like that.
I was thinking of doing it.
No shame. But yeah, I'm not going to be like, please do it. But like, if you enjoy the podcast, like, please do it.
It helps us get out there as well.
Yes.
And so many people need to hear what we have to say. So you'll be doing the world a favor. Think about it like that.
And if you are any of these customers by some chance and you've stumbled upon this, just please contact me.
Yeah, and
I want to get into awkward conversation.
In all things, just try to be better. That's what I say.
Yeah. And if you work in retail and you're that person that looks like, oh, why do I have to help you? It's your job.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
That's all I have to say.
All right. Yes, I completely agree. I have nothing to add. And all I have to say is thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. And we will hear from you in the next. No, you will hear from us. But
yes.
Yeah. The end.